There is no such thing as failure, beautiful soul. Whether you're trying to succeed in business or a relationship or your health, there's never such thing as failure. Failure is when you stop and you give up and you don't try anymore. But when you keep going and you keep learning, I guarantee you, you will get to where you need to go to. But you got to follow this. Healing and transforming make most human beings extremely uneasy. When a human being is diving into their heart and giving themselves the opportunity to heal, shift, transmute toxicity, old trauma, emotional toxicity that a human being has been holding on to for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, maybe more years. Or maybe trauma and toxicity that they've brought in on a soul level, on a DNA level from a previous incarnation, which is really parallel in the quantum field. Because we are souls in human bodies, spirits in human bodies, having multiple experiences. We're not just here in this third dimensional reality. Everything's solid. There's much more beyond that. When people come to our workshops, to our trainings, we create such a safe container that people that don't trust, people that are scared and in fear, people that have deep-rooted trauma that they've been bottling up for a very long time, we create this platform and this sacred container where they can be vulnerable, and within that vulnerability connect with a power so potent and pure. Because ultimately it is vulnerability that is the platform for massive growth. Vulnerability is the foundation for huge success. When a human being is masking their vulnerability, they're masking their pain and their anguish and their torment or whatever it is that they've experienced. You're trying to build and create from a very weak foundation. It's like building a house or a castle on sand. It's going to sink at some point. When it gets wet, when the ocean comes up onto the beach, when a human being is in their physical reality and they're moving through time and space, interacting with other humans, and another human being says something or does something that pushes those buttons, pushes those triggers that create a reaction because it's hit that deep wound, that deep trauma. That is like the water washing up onto the beach. And when someone comes into our sacred container, our group environment, our group healing space, our workshop training space, depending on the event they're coming to, the space is held immaculately and people feel safe enough to cry, to scream, to dance, to laugh, to roll around and express themselves in whichever way they need to express themselves to get that emotional release, to have that emotional release. And literally in seconds, when that emotional release takes place, the human being self-heals. Because old blocks and patterns and programs, they collapse, they zero point. Time and space collapse within itself, and magic and miracles take place. When a human being really wants to shift and change their life, it's never going to be easy. And even if you create some radical, fast and effective biological upgrade in someone's body by creating a safe container and giving them space to express, release and transmute, there's still a little bit of a process. I mean, we see very serious illnesses, injuries go in seconds, minutes and hours, sometimes days. But when they release and they transmute and this huge biological upgrade takes place and the human being has profound healing or experiences profound healing, There's always this backwash of emotions that rise steadily or sometimes very quickly afterwards. If you're a human being that has suffered some kind of experience that has created a lot of guilt in your system, or a lot of fear in your system, or a lot of rejection or abandonment patterning in your system, and you have this upgrade, this biological upgrade, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, you shift, and your eczema disappears, or your bone heals, or your eyesight comes back, or your hearing pops and you can hear again, or your tumor evaporates, vanishes, transmutes that was there at the start of the session, and you've gone back to the doctor the week after and it's gone. That's amazing. But I guarantee you that over the next days and weeks, that trauma that shifted and that biological upgrade that took place, it's like a door opening or a dam being broken. And once the door opens or the dam's broken, this cascade of energy, it rises up to the surface and it moves through that open gateway. And over the next days, weeks, sometimes months, a human being can experience this old trauma just releasing in waves. And what is mission critical is for that man, woman, child to allow themselves to feel that emotion and to not become entangled and embroiled with it, but to allow themselves to feel it and let it pass. And it takes a brave human being to do that. It takes a courageous human being to do that. It takes a courageous human being to move through time and space, and their sister or their brother or their co-worker or whoever it may be, their partner at home, their child, says something to them and they feel that button being pressed, they feel that trigger internally being pressed. And because they are now aware of the way that the body and the mind is responding to this button being pushed, this trigger being pressed, they're aware of it and they can observe it. And it takes a courageous and brave human being to not react, to stand in the feeling of anger or fear or rejection or whatever emotions they're feeling, whether it's anxiety, depression, they're feeling something really strong in their body. And that human being may have been used to reacting and fighting or saying something in response in a reactive manner to the human being that was pressing their button. And to sit in that emotion and to breathe and to stay focused and observe yourself having this experience and to not engage in the experience even though you're feeling it. That's alchemy. This is what a quantum architect, a wizard and a witch does. This is what a human being who has mastered themselves, this is the course of action they take. And when you take this course of action and you don't respond and you don't react to the drivers, to the triggers, you start to change massively. And that old programming in your body, in your brain, it starts to have less of an effect over you. And over the course of days, weeks, sometimes months, you become a completely new human being. Sometimes you become a completely new human being in seconds. And all of that old stuff just shifts. But that most of the time is the minority of people. Most people go on this little bit of an emotional roller coaster, okay? And they experience these waves of emotion. Or once they have become aware of what it is they need to change or shift, other people come into their reality to test them. And the mind and the body is looking for those opportunities to react in the old way, the way that the human being used to react, that would produce chemicals in the body and brain that would feed the body, because the body's like a heroin addict, like a crackhead, addicted to porn, addicted to some kind of trauma, addicted to some kind of action or activity that creates these chemicals that it can feed off. And when you don't react with anger, and when you don't react in anxiety, and when you don't react in judgment, the body's like, oh my God, this feels strange. I'm not getting my fix right now. So the body and the brain will talk to each other, and they will look for opportunities to engage you with, to get you to react. And it takes a disciplined, self-controlled, alchemical brother or sister to take a different course of action. And that is what you are, my brother, my sister. An alchemist. Overcoming oneself takes discipline. It takes willpower. When you come to our trainings, our workshops, our group healing experiences, we will furnish you with the tools to be the alchemist that has always lived inside of you, so you can change, shift, transmute, and empower yourself beyond measure. Going into the unknown is where the magic happens. You know this. Fortune favors the brave. It always has done, and it always will do. When you stay at home like a turtle in its shell, never coming out, like a recluse, hiding from life because you're scared about this or that, or what you might have to face or deal with. Can you handle it? Maybe you can handle it. Maybe you're scared of success. What if I am successful and I can't handle it? What if I try and I fail? All human beings think these thoughts at some point in their life. Any human being that has become majorly successful has had to battle their inner demons. And any human being that has become successful is no different from human beings that are unsuccessful. They have just used discipline, they've exercised willpower, and they've stuck the course. When they've been beaten up and knocked down, they've got back up again. When the business didn't work, they drew the gold from the failures, and they used it to move into the next business and keep going. When they were betrayed, when they were ripped off, when they lost money, when things didn't go to plan, they learned their lessons, they dusted themselves down, and off they went again. There is no such thing as failure, beautiful soul. Whether you're trying to succeed in business or a relationship or your health, there's never such thing as failure. Failure is when you stop and you give up and you don't try anymore. But when you keep going and you keep learning, I guarantee you will get to where you need to go to. But you got to follow this. You got to listen to your life compass. Your heart knows the shortest way between here and where it is you want to go to. And if you're trying to get from here to where it is you want to go to, by forcing things in this material world, you're gonna get there very, very slowly. It's gonna take a long time. But when you know how to access the geometrical building blocks inside your heart, in the empty space all around us, which isn't empty, it's rich and bountiful and full of codes, you can change things very, very quickly. Use our meditations, use our light language transmissions, use our breath work techniques. Come to one of our group energy healing frequency upgrade workshops. Come to one of our trainings. Change your life. Wherever you are on this magical planet, beautiful soul, go out and love your sisters and your brothers fiercely and ferociously. Hug them tightly and never, ever be the first to let go. That's the golden rule of hugging. I'll see you again real soon. One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out, beautiful soul.